Hey guys, it's Matt. Guess what I've never done? I've never exactly or precisely defined Notnilc, which I'm going to do here. If you're driving, don't worry about the scrolling images that are coming. We're going to go over this several times. I'll repeat it more than once. Don't try to read this if you're doing anything at work or driving. But I know newer people are like, oh, thank God. I still think it's not milk. So we need to do this. Notnilc, a noun, the adversary of spiritual beings, an energetic presence attached to the earth whose job it is to block a real being from fulfilling its life goals. Similar to a Christian's notion of Satan, it cannot be seen, manifesting itself throughout culture via governments, systems, technology, and by influencing the billions of people who support its goals, which is the construction of a society where a soul's mission becomes almost impossible to achieve, to lay down the conditions and circumstances for failure. The next image coming up we'll use to examine the precise and necessary elements. It's only up for a few seconds, guys. We'll return to it in a moment. And when it comes up again, if you're at work, you don't need to read it. We'll go over each element and why I chose the language that I did. For example, a spiritual being and not person. Somebody gave me a lesson. Person is a legal term. We don't want to fall into that straw man trap, etc. So, guys, I was going to start a new series called Proof. This is just a fun image from Bill. It's not particularly related. Well, it kind of is to what I'm talking about. A new series called Proof of Notnilc, like, proof of life. And that line from Braveheart could be used here, but it's a little bit different. He says, your meetings are a waste of time, McGrandries. Your series are a waste of time, Quantum of Conscience. Because you start a series, Matt, and you do 2 episodes, other than Notnilc Travel Tours, and then the whole series just stops. And I have done that many times. I'm sorry. But I think I'm going to stick with Proof of Notnilc, where look at what's happening in society over here. And it's just not the natural progression of the way a normal or natural society would go. And there's nobody to point at, there's nobody to blame, but there's a quiet little perverted puppeteer in the background, which I call Notnilc. If anybody knew, it's Clinton backwards. It didn't deserve a cool name like the Lochnar. I mean, that is cool. It didn't deserve anything to be coveted. It deserved the dumbest. I know that sounds stupid, but that's what it deserved. It deserves a dumbass name like Clinton backwards. Let me read it one more time. And the first job for the commenters, did I miss any essential elements? And are any essential elements wrong, in your opinion? Notnilc, a noun, the adversary of spiritual beings, an energetic presence attached to the earth whose job it is to block a real being from fulfilling its life goals. It's similar to a Christian's notion of Satan. It cannot be seen, manifesting itself throughout culture via government, systems, technology, and in many other ways, of course, and most importantly, by influencing the billions of people who support its goals. Unknowingly, of course. Everybody goes along with what Notnilc wants, which is supporting its goals, which is the further construction of a society where a soul's mission becomes almost impossible to achieve. That is the heart of it. Setting up a situation outside your window where the real spiritual being simply can't get it done through busyness and work goals and all the social media. It simply cannot do what the spiritual side needs from this life, what that arm of the Vitruvian man needs from life, to lay down the conditions and circumstances for spiritual failure. The definition starts and ends the same way. The notion of simply just getting in our way, blocking. That's 98% of what it does. As we've talked about, Satan can't drive up. I don't believe Notnilc is Satan. It's similar. The Christian's notion of it is very similar. And I thought that was very important to acknowledge here. Of course, I don't believe in actual biblical Satan. Everybody knows that about me. Let's continue. But Satan's truck can't drive up, throw you in the back bed, tie you down, and drive you off. In this reality, you have to do it to yourself. The Notnilc knows that. It creates, I don't know, at this point, millions of potential obstacles. From simple distraction. I called a cell phone the other day, which I do maybe once a year, and it said, the number you have reached is, it went through the whole 45-second speech. And it was like, well, we know what to do. We don't need this recording. And in the old days, we're like, well, that's to get more minutes, Matt. They want to rack up minutes. Well, it's not that. It's not that anymore. Nobody has, it's unlimited, of course, but I think, I don't know technology. But no, it's distraction. It works in terms of fine, minute, and imperceptible incrementalism. If it can get you just on that phone waiting 30 seconds for the recording to go, the number you have reached, and it says out the number 654, and you have to wait. If the world were real, there wouldn't even be a voice. It would just beep, and everybody would kind of know what to do. Like after most people kind of know what to do if they hear a beep, but maybe that's just me. It's incrementalism and in the extreme. Matt, this is ridiculous. You're saying, 30 to 45 seconds, some recording before you have to leave a message. That's this evil Notnilc plotting and planning with its incrementalism. You drive up here, you and your Jimmy come up here, no appointment, no nothing. Matt, you're out of your mind. No, sorry. That's how it works. It thinks in terms of the whole. If it's not just worried about the 40 seconds or 30 seconds it's getting from you, it's getting that 30 to 40 seconds hundreds of millions of times a day. Do the math on that. How many times have you had to wait for the recording over the last 20 years? Do the math on that. It has thousands of different things it can throw at you per day in order just to distract you a little bit over here or have you worry about this over here. It takes tiny little bites that you don't notice that your best friend or my friend Tony would say, Matt, that's just a normal part of modern society. And it's not a big deal. Each one of these on its own is not a big deal. It doesn't work that way. It sees what it's taking from the masses collectively. All right, let me do the elements of the definition, the exact definition that's on screen, so at least at the very minimum I can put a more exciting image up or even one of Bill's posters, and you can see if anything's been missing or I've gotten anything wrong, anything needs to be added. So we talked, it's this Notnilc is the spiritual adversary, an energetic presence attached to the earth, whose job it is to block a real being from fulfilling its life goals. I had to acknowledge it is some sort of energetic presence. I don't like to acknowledge that, but through its egregores and how it works over time to get a certain type of negative energy from people or emotional energy and stress, worry, fear, anxiety, it is some sort of energetic presence, like the not like the Notnilc. It is the Notnilc, like the Lochnar from Heavy Metal. Okay, I don't like acknowledging it's an energetic presence. Matt, that's giving life to. Okay. I mean, it was here before we were born, okay? I don't think I'm giving it anything, and through affirmation, I'm not giving it anything. Okay, similar to a Christian notion of Satan, we talked about that, it cannot be seen. There's nothing that can ever be pointed at in a police lineup or picked out. When the reality puts forth all of its bad guys, that's to distract away from the real bad guy, or what's really happening here. It wants nothing more than for you to point at a bad guy and say, it's all this. It's all the archons. It's all the gray aliens. It's all the secret societies. It loves that because what's really happening then is hidden behind the curtain. It manifests itself throughout culture. And in here it says via governments and systems, technology. It manifests itself in millions of different ways. Like I said in the recording, when you go to leave somebody a message on their cell phone, it manifests itself in billions of different ways. There could be an entire YouTube channel with nothing but this topic for the next 10 years, and there would be, I guess, only 1% covered how the Notnilc manifests itself just through government. Only through government, in terms of how hard it is to deal with government, and it's red tape, and the hassle it puts on you over here, and the Bureau of Land Management tells a farmer in Texas that it has a little tiny pond, and that's a wetland, so we have to come in and do this big study. Millions of different ways just through government and through the people in government. I don't think these entities, and many of them are not the same as you and me, as Tony described to me, manifest through a Governor Cuomo, whatever that creepy entity is. I don't follow it anymore. I don't know the woman who's the new governor and the mayor. I have no clue anymore. It was Greg yesterday that had to tell me about Iran and Israel. I had no idea. Iran did this. I have no clue. I don't want to know. And still the number one story. Iran does this what's the retaliation going to be? And still the number one story was jury selection for Trump. Oh, okay, yeah, this is a real world we lived. Okay, it manifests itself through the minions many of which, in my opinion, aren't even the same spiritual beings that we are, like Governor Cuomo. I'm going to do it. My favorite thing to do all the time about the gun magazines and clips and too many and restrictions. Nobody needs 10 bullets to kill a deer. And if you didn't understand what he said because he said it like that, the translation is nobody needs 10 bullets to kill a deer. It took me months to figure out what the hell he's talking about with that weird-ass accent. I'm from Philly, and I couldn't understand. And for some reason, why do all these brainwashed minion liberals, they always take the notion of everybody that wants to own a gun or a firearm, it's always about hunting. Governor, who said anything about hunting? You don't put 10 bullets into a 9mm magazine or clip for hunting. I don't take my 9mm out into the woods to shoot Bambi. You have your 9mm for self-protection. You see the way the world's going? The targets, even the anal cream and the itch cream for the anuses are locked up in the target. And you've got to say, can you open this lockbox, please? I want to buy the anal itch cream. Everything's locked away. You see how things are going, society? That was always related to hunting. It's nothing to do with hunting, you jackasses. Sorry, what are the elements that are left here? It influences billions, and it's just simply here to block a soul's mission. It is that simple. Now, this is a gigantic, or maybe the key difference between people like you and me and my friend Tony, or your best friend, or your family, where there's nothing sinister going on. Matt, or Susie, or Ken, or Ron, or Wavy the dog, or there's nothing sinister going on here. Why do you people always have to see it that way? This is just what happens when things get big and cities grow and corruption creeps in and red tape creeps in and people have to get paid. It's always about money. It's nothing sinister. The people around us can never see it, mostly because they support it. If they are on its frequency, they are actually working for it. If they're on its ship of fools, they're essentially a minion. They're working for it. So, of course, there's nothing sinister. They're on board. They're on the payroll. You can only see the puppeteer when you get off the ship. So they'll never be able to see it. But for those of us that ready to graduate, really have had enough with these material systems, whatever reincarnation is or recycling back. We've done enough. We're out of here, etc., etc. We've talked about that before. You start as you drop veils and polish your armor and wax your sword. Swords aren't waxed; they're oiled. So wax your carrot. When you oil your sword and do everything that we've been doing, you do see there's absolutely something sinister here. And that's where the first grade truther starts investigating conspiracy. That's very natural because you start to sense as a first grade truther, these things aren't as they should be. And then the Notnilc wants to insert the real knowledge about how this reality works. It wants to insert conspiracy. Oh, come look at these bad guys. Oh, it's good that you notice that CNN and these news providers are not completely legitimate, but it's find these bad guys and investigate them. And here are all these texts and tomes to waste your time with. And then it understands at the various levels, which is similar to the graduated Animal Farm concept. It understands how to distract each group at each phase of their own wake-up, which is, it's not just sinister, this thing we have to name, which is called now Notnilc. It is evil genius. It knows you better than you do in many respects. So finishing up with the exact definition, I think the most important part, just looking this over one last time, is the last sentence. It simply lays down the conditions and circumstances for failure, for spiritual failure. Every year, it puts up tens of thousands of little distractions and little hurdles that the real, quote, spiritual being, I was told not to use person, that's a legal term in some sort of straw man relation. So, okay, we use spiritual being. We have to use the spellcraft of English. I can't just, like Pootie Tang's first album, just be... Pootie don't need, it's just silence. Pootie don't need no words. Pootie don't even need no music. I can't present a video like that. So I'll use spiritual being. If I am falling into straw man traps or whatever, guys, let me know. So we will, whenever possible, remove the word person. But like I said before, I'm not gonna like pretend, be afraid of using their words. If I say person, it means what I want it to mean, not what why? Because I've said so via affirmation. You have the ability to do that, as do I. Anyway, So it simply lays down the conditions and circumstances for failure. These come, 10,000 new conditions for failure every single year. And per the advent of the internet, it went on steroids times 100 trillion. And just for a moment, I need to speak to the first grade truthers, say through the fifth grade truthers. I hear you. There's spitballers in the back. I hear you. Put your spitballs down. I think, Matt, what? Who's blocking us? What group? What? Be specific. Where are they? Do they have an office in Trump Tower? What are you talking about? Is it the EU governing council? Is it the strangers from Dark City? Is nothing that you can point at. Almost everybody around us, and we to a degree are also from time to time on the ship of fools. I have to go into Target and get cat stuff. Everybody for the most part, and us, we've exited, but we have to go back and forth from time to time. Let's just say, make it simple. Everybody's on the ship of fools. My best friend, your Aunt Ginny, and Santa Claus Schwab. Okay, if you are on that ship, you're on the radio station, you're on the frequency, you're on the download. There's this dark thing is very much in the background. It's an influencer. Nobody is even at the Santa Claus Schwab level, in my opinion, I don't think are fully aware of this influence. That's, again, why it's very similar to Satan. To block a spiritual being from getting it done, mostly via its distractions, and everything else it piles on us, and via its red tape and bullshit. It's getting harder and harder to get it done as each year goes by. The students coming out of high school are getting dumber and dumber. That's why we got to get it done now. This is the main reason I will never be able to convince, say, my friend Tony of anything, because being firmly planted on the ship of fools and firmly in tune or in line with its resonance, there is nothing wrong. It's not like they don't see it. There is simply and literally nothing wrong. Okay, they have some complaints. The complaints actually add legitimacy to it. Oh, those damn Republicans, and complaints about, and they'll have complaints. I was at the DMV for an hour and my driver's license, they still messed it up. Okay, from the Notnilc's perspective, those complaints provide some legitimacy where people can say, oh, these governments are too big, or they will still complain about it. When I say, but they believe it's normal, that doesn't mean they think it's wonderful. There's a difference, but it is completely normal. Matt, this is just what happens when you have a country that's continuously locked at 330 million people. Oh my goodness, is the 33 endlessly coming at this point. I'm sure you see it as well. We'll talk about it some other time. But the first grade truther or fifth grade truther, they may be coming around to things are not quite right in the world and wanting to go in or jump into the addiction of conspiracy research, but they'd be open to what I'm saying, but they might not be fully on board with what I'm saying. That was one of the reasons for me floating the idea I need to do that series called Proof of Notnilc. And look, the old guard sees it, but there's so many things that come through society where there's just no possible way it could come or manifest normally or naturally or just through the decisions of men and women. There's too many Notnilc giveaways at this point. So relatively recently, this movie popped into my head for some reason, Proof of Life. Is it over 20 years old? It's been forever since I've seen it. I remember it being pretty good. Meg Ryan, Russell Crowe, and I thought we need to do Proof of Notnilc. And I know the old guard sees it, but every once in a while I bring something new to the table, something even the old guard may overlook. Remember 10 minutes ago, talked about the message or that you have to sit through when you leave somebody a cell phone message. Verizon's has been the same for like 25 years. I think Verizon is still the biggest carrier in North America. It's something like, you've reached a voice messaging service. Like, who would need to sit through this after 20 some years? It's Notnilc incrementalism. I'm convinced of this. If it can take a millisecond over here and a millisecond, to each example on its own is irrelevant. People would think I'm crazy, but it sees the game as a whole. I'm telling you, this is the way this son of a beach works, this Notnilc thing. So I thought, even if it's just for fun, we could do a series, Proof of Notnilc. And I hear you. Again, like, your meetings are a waste of time, McGrandries. Your series are a waste of time, Quantum. They're not going to be a waste. I will continue to do Notnilc travel tours, and if I start proof of Notnilc, I will see through it at least for 5 episodes. All right, I won't just shut it off and pretend it never existed like I typically do. And it will be on me. The challenge will be to bring to your attention, even the old guard, things that even they may have overlooked. And that's saying something. That's what I'm talking about. That's saying something. Things that even the old guard may have overlooked. Because if I can't bring that to the table, my spiritually broke ass once every 6 months, they're not going to stick with me. Even now, they just come in and sleep in the front of the classroom. Brendan and Wavy come in, he brings his dog, and they just go to sleep. They don't even listen. I mean, I appreciate them being here. I guess they come for the free Amish lunch. But I need to, and it's hard to, now that we understand the basis of how dark reality works, and we understand, I mean, to keep pushing the limits is awfully difficult. So either that or my jokes better get better. People start, the Amish classroom will be crickets. Bueller, anybody here? Not Bueller. Anybody? They're all clearing fields? Okay. So, proof of life. By the way, can anybody in the United States distinguish between a Scottish and an Irish accent? I mean, it took me 15 years I know to somebody from the UK, or that's ridiculous, but it all sounds the same to us. The Australians are relatively easy to identify, and I'm speaking on behalf of people from Philly, New York, North Jersey, South Jersey, these type of people. I can kind of tell the difference. I'm a little bit more educated than your average cheesesteak wit orderer, but say they just can't tell. I think the Aussies says, yeah, that's like Crocodile Dundee. Somebody from Philly would say but I'm saying the Scottish versus the Irish, South Philly, North Jersey, South Jersey, they cannot tell the difference between Belfast and fucking Aberdeen. And it took me a long time to do it as well. I'm just telling you what is. I have a few people, I'm sorry, chick, if you're listening, a few people, I know to you that's ridiculous. But even people around here, well, why did they develop those accents? They've been at odds with the Queen's London for so long. Why didn't they want to just copy that talk so they can infiltrate? By the way, it's like, why did they put the gray coat on in the Civil War? Just blend in. When you put the gray coat on, you become a target. Why? Who even made the coats? Don't put no gray coat on. Blend in. You can do more. What if they've been at odds with the Queen's London in that area of Sandwich for 1,000 years? They should have adopted the Queen's English, the tea and crimpets, that shit. You blend in. You could get more done. You stand out like a sore thumb with those accents. Who are the geniuses up there in Aberdeen that decided on that? And the question that keeps people from Philly up for decades, is there an accent difference between people that live in Belfast, that's Northern Ireland, which is a separate country, I guess, than Ireland, which is Dublin. I'm sure you sons of bitches out there can tell the difference amongst the accents, but it would be, anyway, most people here, when you talk about Northern Ireland, part of the UK, 99% of people from Philly think that's just the northern part of Ireland. They don't have no clue that it's separate from those sons of bitches that live in Dublin. How'd you get on this, Matt? I have no idea. I guess because I try to imitate. All I can do in terms of imitation is from Braveheart. If it doesn't come directly from a movie, a little bit of Rob Roy. If it doesn't come from there, I can't do it. I need to do proof of Notnilc, and once a year I need to bring something to the table that the old guard doesn't already recognize. I'll do my best, and I'll get right on it. Thanks for listening.